Let me say something that might hit you a little harder than you're expecting. Most men don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because their standard is too low. Not their goals, not their dreams, not their intentions, their standard. Because you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your standards. And most men, they've actually never set one. So today, we draw a line between the man you've been and the man you're becoming. You know, most men think they're trying hard, but they're actually living under an invisible ceiling they've never questioned. You don't have to look far. You know, there's a story about the 4-minute mile, right? For years, breaking a 4-minute mile was considered impossible. Doctors said it couldn't be done. Then, in 1954, Roger Bannister did it. And within a year, others followed. Nothing changed physically. The ceiling wasn't real. It was believed into existence. And that's your life. You're not stuck. You're just operating under a standard you inherited from your parents, from your environment, from your past, and you've never questioned it. You think you lack discipline. No. You lack a non-negotiable standard. You know, I think these guys probably are a little bit overhyped, but as a society and in general, Spartans didn't rely on motivation. They lived by a code. Quitting wasn't an option. Not because they were superhuman, but because their standard didn't allow weakness. When your alarm goes off, you're not deciding based on discipline. You're deciding based on identity. What does a man like me do? A line that hits. Think of this. A man with a weak standard negotiates. A man with a strong standard executes. Low standards don't destroy your life overnight. They destroy it quietly. You know, I talk about the couple of episodes back, I talked about the fall of the Roman Empire, and, you know, the Western Roman Empire, that fall wasn't sudden. It was slow decay. Comfort increased. Discipline decreased. Standards slipped. I said they forgot who they were. And I truly mean that. They let their standards slip. And that is how men fall today. not with chaos, but with comfort. Skipping workouts, avoiding hard conversations, numbing out with distractions. You know, the beloved doom scrolling. I want to be clear. You don't ruin your life in one decision. Almost always. You ruin it in 1,000 small permissions. You don't need more goals. You need rules. Done quite a bit of reading here lately on a group of people, the samurai. You know, and the samurai lived by Bushido, which is a code, the samurai code. In English, it's honor, discipline, loyalty. Not suggestions, standards. Ask yourself, what does the man I'm becoming not do? He doesn't lie to himself. He doesn't quit when it's hard. He doesn't avoid what matters. Because rules remove negotiation. And negotiation is where your life falls apart. I've read the book, The Diary of a CEO by Stephen Bartlett. And I'm going to share some of that in a minute here. But now, here's where most men fail. They raise their standard, and then they drift. Because they don't have a system. In Stephen Bartlett's book, Diary of a CEO, he forces your life into 5 areas, 5 buckets. And if one empties, your standard collapses. Bucket number 1, what you know. What are you learning? What are you feeding your mind? That makes me think of Benjamin Franklin, right? He tracked his learning daily, reading, writing, reflecting. He built a mind with intention. If you're not upgrading your thinking, you're outsourcing it. Bucket number 2, what can you do? We're talking about skills, execution, capability. And when I think about things of that nature, I think of Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci didn't dabble, okay? He mastered art, anatomy, engineering, relentless improvement. A man without skills has opinions. A man with skills has options. Bucket number 3, who you know. Your network, your circle, your environment. And I can't think of any other more. This is one group. When I pray to God that I get an opportunity to go to heaven and meet this, I want to meet this group. Years ago, there was a group called the Inklings. A group included C.S. Lewis, J.R.R. Tolkien. They pushed each other, challenged each other, elevated each other. You don't rise alone. You don't stay strong surrounded by weak standards. Bucket number 4, what you have. This is where we're talking about resources, money, tools, access. When I think about money, I think about Andrew Carnegie. He built wealth, then used it to create opportunities for others. He became quite the philanthropist. Because one thing I know, money isn't evil. It's a magnifier. If your standard is low, it amplifies chaos. If your standard is high, it amplifies impact. And bucket number 5, what they think of you. Yes. Reputation, character, trust. Can't put those words together without coming to the story of Abraham Lincoln, known as Honest Abe. His reputation carried weight before he ever held power. I want to be clear. This isn't about people pleasing. This is about alignment. Do people trust you? Do your actions match your words? Your reputation is your standard made visible. So now it all comes together. Most men say, I want to be better. But they never define what that means. The 5 buckets force the truth. Are you learning? Are you building skills? Are you surrounded by strength? Are you building resources? And are you respected? You don't drift into excellence. You track into it. Now there's no excuses left. Because now you have a system. Every day you ask, did I hit my buckets? Or did I negotiate? I've mentioned the Roman Empire a couple times on these episodes, and I can't resist but talking about Caesar. When he crossed the Rhine, called the Rubicon. Took him 10 days for his legion to build a bridge across the Rubicon. Then he burned it, just like Hernan Cortez. There was no going back. Everything changed. This is your moment. You don't go back to average. You don't go back to excuses. You don't go back to negotiating with yourself. Because the man you're becoming has a standard. Five buckets. One standard. No excuses. You don't need a different life. You need a system that forces you to become who you said you'd be. Because you're not built by what you wish for. You're built by what you refuse to tolerate.